A few days ago, I was going through my social media platforms and I asked myself, why don't I give my YouTube viewers the exact formula that I use to heal, recover from health anxiety? That's what we're going to do today. I'm going to reveal exactly what I did to get to the other side. My friends, let's dive in. I know exactly where you are. I know exactly what you're going through, my friends. That's why I needed to make this video today on the exact steps that I took to heal health anxiety. I know that it's going to speak to you deeply. And if you want to learn more about the Health Anxiety Recovery Program, taking this knowledge and putting it into step-by-step guidance from me, head over to this link at any point in the video. So friends, I'm going to dive deep into different sections of this video so that I can inform you deeply about what you need to do right now to heal from health anxiety. Now, just to give you a little snippet around what I dealt with in relation to health anxiety, the biggest thing that I dealt with was the constant monitoring of my thoughts, my emotions, and my physical symptoms. And of course, there are so many different elements and layers of health anxiety, but this idea that I always needed to be monitoring my body just in case was at the forefront of everything I did, right? And it wouldn't matter if I was with people or in different environments, or maybe it was morning or maybe it was night. There was always this deep need. And later on I realized, my God, why am I doing this all the time? Why am I allowing my focus, my attention, my energy to always turn to my body? Can't my body take care of itself and heal itself? Well, I did realize that it was because there was a part of me that wanted to protect me so much, loved me so much, that it was working overtime to make sure that I was always safe from potential danger. So just a little snippet around what I really dealt with around health anxiety, and I quickly realized what didn't work. These are going to speak to you, and I want them to speak to you deeply, because once you realize what doesn't work, you can begin to shift away from those old mental, emotional, behavioral patterns, and you can begin to see them as something coming from your inner protector instead. The first thing that didn't work for me was I tried to think my way out of anxiety. Okay, I tried to think my way out of it. If I can just get to all the root causes of all my traumas, if I can just catch every single thought or idea that crosses my mind, right? If I can just convince my body through thought, then I'll feel better. And maybe this is where you're currently being stuck in, right? This constant pattern of trying to think your way and will your way, using willpower to try to overwhelm anxiety enough for it to leave your life so that you can finally live your life, right? The other thing I did that didn't work was I searched for quick fixes, okay? I talk about this very often in my program, specifically the Health Anxiety Program and my podcasts. Now, again, as you can see, searching for quick fixes wasn't coming from my higher self or my true voice that was telling me exactly how to heal based on its knowing. Okay? These searching for quick fixes was coming from my inner protector. So as you can see, the inner protector can show up in negative ways, but it can also creatively show up in positive ways, right? If you can just research enough, right? If you can just find that right technique or find the right support system, then you're going to heal from this. So you always get the feeling like you don't already have what you need in order to recover from health anxiety. Do you get that feeling often, right? It's always an arm's length away, but you just can't seem to grab it. So what you do is from morning till night, you bombard yourself with so much information, so much, so many episodes of podcasts and videos and these sorts of things, thinking that one line is out there somewhere, right? And as I talk about this right now, I really can remember and feel what it felt like to be in that cycle, to be in that place, to live in that place. When I lived in that place of always searching for quick fixes, I always lived with FOMO, fear of missing out. So not only did it affect my health anxiety, if I don't pay attention to every symptom, then it's going to get worse, right? Or something catastrophic is going to happen, right? It didn't just show up like that. It showed up in so many different ways, right? I started questioning where I lived. Okay, well, maybe it's where I live. I have to change this right away. So everything started to become right away, right? That's what the inner protector tends to make us do. It didn't work for me. It's not going to work for you. I also watch my symptoms constantly just in case, as I mentioned in the beginning. It didn't work. I have to repeat myself here because you may feel like it's going to work. You may feel like you're getting somewhere by repeating this pattern of always watching your symptoms closely, right? But again, it's a very deep convincer strategy from the inner protector within you, right? And the final thing I knew that didn't work after some time was I used to distract myself with work and stimulation to avoid how I felt, right? If I can just dive deep enough and consistently enough in hard work, right? Career, projects, these sorts of things, relationships, or, physical exercise. If I can just, hit it hard enough and repeatedly, then I don't have to look over here at what's really taking place beneath all the anxiety. And again, temporarily it works because, the endorphins from the physical exercise, some of the mental clarity, some of the emotional weight goes away after some strenuous exercising, right? But we're doing it all for the wrong reasons. Diving deep into work, we're doing it for the wrong reasons. It's there to escape something, not to move towards something. Ooh. That's a more than anxiety moment right there. If you agree, comment below. Our job is to move towards something, not always feel like we have to run away from something, right? And what all of this did to me was that over time I started identifying as an anxious person. I didn't even realize I was doing this, but I started to wake up in the morning and immediately, within seconds, I started to, put on my anxious suit. Zip it up. Here we go, right? And I saw, heard, felt, tasted, smelled everything from the perspective of being that anxious identity. It colored my entire world, right? Because so many of these belief systems and patterns were repeated enough times so that the system, this meaning-making system said, okay, he is the anxious identity, right? That is what he has convinced us of. So I want you to look at your current identity, what you believe you are, who you believe you are, and what you believe you deserve. And ask yourself, is it coming from the anxiety identity? Have I identified with all these patterns? It's really important that you come to this conclusion. As we move on to the real shift, okay? The real shift came when I realized that everything I was doing to fix anxiety was still coming from my survival state. Can you see that happening in your life right now? You're living in survival mode. There's energy, negative, fear-centered energy that is accumulated in your body that is overflowing through your mind and your emotions right now, right? Can you feel that accumulation? Okay? So, it's all coming from a state of survival, okay? And what feels foreign at first is actually the correct way for you to approach the elements of anxiety and your life. So, in the beginning, when you realize these things and realize there's a problem and there's a shift that has to happen, right? There's a choice that's made there. The only problem is when you encounter setbacks along the way that you don't anticipate, then you're constantly feeling like you're always making that choice over and over and over again. Now I'll heal. Now I'll commit. Now I'll commit, you know? And it doesn't have to be a setback either. Sometimes you'll feel really good and feel like, okay, I'm home free, and then you'll take on too much, right? So if you're in a dysregulated nervous system state, or a state of burnout because so much of your energy has been focused on trying to survive the next experience, you're experiencing that burnout, that tired but wired feeling, right? And it's all coming from survival mode and you're going, okay, now I can really let myself go. And then you encounter a flare up in symptoms or whatever it is and you're going, oh, what I was doing didn't work for me, right? So the real shift for you, I believe, really needs to come down to the fact that 95, if not more, % of what you're doing for yourself is coming from the part of you that wants to keep you in a state of anxiety. Okay? Now, the method. As we dive into this method, I want you to understand and approach this not from the perspective of, I'm so excited, the method's coming. No, that's again coming from survival mode, that emotional roller coaster. Just take it in, question it if you need to, move forward with the commitment each and every day of following this path, okay? First, I began looking at anxiety from my nervous system's perspective. Okay? So, as I looked at my anxiety from my nervous system's perspective, the one word that showed up constantly was overwhelm. Overwhelm. So I overwhelm my nervous system through things like behavioral things, right? Habits such as staying up late consistently, working too much on the computer with the blue light effect, for example, right? Exhausting my adrenals through, too hard physical exercise, these sorts of things. But then there was also overwhelm around the mental side of things, as I talked about, trying to think your way through every experience, right? That's using up a lot of brain juice, and you will feel that physically, right? What else did I see from my nervous system's perspective? I was always chasing excitement. I was always chasing fun. I never felt grounded, therefore I never felt safe. When I woke up in the morning, the amount of value that I placed on the day was based around how much I did. What new things I saw, right? What new experiences did I have? And a nervous system that's stuck in dysregulation, if you put them beyond that threshold constantly, then of course you're going to live in a state of fight or flight. Of course you're going to deal with anxiety. So the first thing I needed to do is I needed to take a step back and go, I'm looking at my nervous system from the outside, from an outsider's perspective. Now I can start to recognize some of the things that are keeping me beyond my threshold. Okay? Second, I started building safety signals and real rest. These two are very important. Safety signals and real rest into my life, not just as a trick to heal anxiety. Can you see the difference, right? But as a new way of living, okay? So safety signals, okay, and real rest. Those were two very important components to healing my anxiety, and I believe it's the same for you. But again, if we approach safety signals and real rest from the perspective of the inner protector, then what's going to happen is, day one, you're going to lay down, you're going to do your best to not overwhelm the system, you're going to do it for 3 hours straight, okay? And then you're going to feel pretty good temporarily afterwards, okay? And then the anxiety is going to creep up again as a perspective or whatever it is, and you're going to go, that doesn't work. So it's vitally important that you do not do things the same way you used to do them. Okay, this is huge. This is huge. The biggest differentiating factor between people that heal and people that stay stuck is the people that heal start to do things from another place within them. Whereas the people that stay stuck continue to do those things from the inner protector's point of view. So, when I'm talking about safety signals, I'm talking about simple things that are done consistently. These things can be mental in the form of, well, you can do this in combination with your breath. So let's use the word loosen, for example. Okay? Breathing in through your nose as you inhale, loosen. Breathe out through your nose, loosen. Or you can do loosen. Safety signal. But do not exaggerate it. How many seconds do I do? Am I doing it for long enough? Forget all that. Do it from a place of gentleness. Do it from a grounded place, right? A place that doesn't feel familiar. That's the important part. So that's a safety signal in terms of the mental side of things. What about the emotional side of things? From the emotional side of things, you allow yourself to experience the experience you're having neutrally. Feel that neutralness while you're watching this video right now. Not in incredible excitement that I'm giving you everything. No. Neutral. I allow myself to be emotionally neutral in that moment because you need to familiarize yourself with emotional neutrality. You have familiarized yourself with anxiousness. That's why this will feel very different. Okay? It kind of feels like when you paint your home, okay, and everything's done and the excitement's done, and then you watch the paint dry. To your nervous system that's been stuck in survival mode, the word would be boring, right? But in truth, that's emotional neutrality. So that could be a safety signal. What about a physical safety signal? The speed in which you walk, the speed in which you take a shower, the speed in which you go to the bathroom, for goodness sakes, right? When I used to go to the bathroom, I know it's a different example, it was almost like I was running a race. I was in and out, right? And people were going, wow, did you go to the bathroom? I did, right? And, I was going, wow, there's something up here, right? This is not right. So in terms of safety signals, they can show up in the form of the mental, the emotional, the physical, even the spiritual, right? And I will touch on this more so in the future, this particular component, okay? But again, to put these into place, I highly recommend starting my Health Anxiety Recovery program that guides you each and every day with my daily guidance for you. You can learn more about it right here. Now, step 3 was I practiced responding to symptoms with patience and understanding instead of urgency and fear, right? if you continue to reply or react to your symptoms with urgency and fear, the brain will continue to strengthen its neural pathways around the idea that symptoms are unsafe to experience. And also, this environment is unsafe to experience, right? So it scans and takes in everything in the environment, and if there's a common theme within that environment, it will turn on the alarm system, right? So in this method, the third part is understanding that you have to practice responding to your symptoms like it's practicing a sport that you want to get good at. Like it's practicing, anything. Like you're painting on a canvas, right? You're practicing a new dance. You're practicing a new hobby. Practicing responding to your symptoms from the place of gentleness, patience, and understanding, right? And when you come at it from that place, you will intuitively know how to respond. This is important for you to understand because there's a lot of people, especially on my Facebook page, that ask the question, how? How? And again, if I give the how, and they're approaching the how from the perspective of the inner protector, then they're going to stay in the cycle of anxiety. Can you see what's going on here? Right? But if we approach the how from the perspective of gentleness, the part of you that already knows, the intuitive, gentle side of you, the place that has missed play, a playful side, it already knows how to. If you're starting to tap into this, comment below. I want to know who has really started to practice step 3. Then we move to the fourth part of this method. I stayed consistent and allowed time to do its work. Okay? The inner protector will say, you're not there yet, it's not working. Change it. But your higher self, okay, your true voice says, stay on the path, we will do the work. Keep showing us through safety signals, through deep rest, through responding to symptoms. Keep showing us and let us do the rest. And then what happens is it starts to become a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. When you move beyond this and don't give it a timeline to finish anymore, what happens is you start to become more and more disinterested in the elements of anxiety, such as the intrusive thoughts, the bodily symptoms, and the emotional roller coasters. This is what truly starts to happen in a person's life as they apply these very important steps consistently without checking results. Again, if you can relate to what I'm talking about, comment below. And finally in this method, I stopped identifying myself as someone defined by anxiety, right? You are defined by anxiety, and it has to color everything, the way you see your past, the way you're experiencing the present, and the way you're moving into the future. No longer, right? I stopped identifying. In fact, I started to tap into a new name, in fact. And you'll see in a lot of ancient traditions, this can be the case, right? Where the person no longer identifies with their old name and all the stuff that came with it. And they start to be drawn towards a new idea, new name. For me, that name was a key. Sometimes people will say Dennis, and I won't recognize it. It'll take me a moment to go, oh yeah, hey, how are you? You're right, that sort of thing. So I have identified with a key after all of the things that I'm sharing with you today and in my programs. And a key is lighter. Dennis is heavier, right, in terms of emotional weight. A key is optimistic. Dennis is pessimistic. A key trusts in the body to heal. Dennis has no trust in the body to heal and feels like he has to always be in control of the very next second going on the inside and the outside. Can you see the differences here, right? So if I continued to identify with Dennis, I'd be stuck, right? That identity shift was huge, huge, and it doesn't happen overnight, right? It doesn't happen overnight. My friends, if you've watched until this particular part, I invite you to take the next step, which is the Health Anxiety Recovery Program. Learn more from my main website under Health Anxiety. I'd love to guide you step by step, day by day, to true and lasting freedom. Until then, please like this video if it spoke to you and share it with someone or a group in need. I would love to be there for more people, so your shares make a huge difference in the whole thing. Remember that you are more than anxiety. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.